the hours. Cam?
Mr. Mayor, Council, as most of you have heard me before, I actually respect, admire civil servants. Civil servancy, I think, is a very honorable thing to be involved with. I take issues such as this, the bell rate, et cetera, very seriously. Lots of joking, you hear going back and forth. And there's a lot of real bad divisiveness that goes on as well. That doesn't need to be there either. I serve on the Planning Commission. I'm a volunteer. I mean, I'm almost like you guys, almost a volunteer. These issues are very important. They're very, very important. And one thing that sticks out in my mind that I just want to relay to you, if you haven't heard it, I'll try to quote, maybe more of a paraphrase. This is a very famous Minnesota statesman, a civil servant who I probably have more respect for than any person that's ever served in a particular government entity. He says that the moral test of government is how it cares for those that are in the dawn of their life, the kids. The moral test of government is how we care for the folks that are in the twilight of their lives, the aged, the seniors. The moral test of government is how we take care of those that are in the shadows of our lives, the sick, the infirm, disabled, etc. I think with these issues like the bridge, which comes into play for or against, with all these groups of citizens, these are important concerns. The Bellray, what is proposed to use the Bellray for, it's a moral test for civil servancy, for government. How is our government going to take care of us? We have elected servants that carry on the wishes of their constituency. We have civil servants who choose that profession, I like to believe, because most of them feel they can improve our way of life in our particular area, whether you're a city employee, county employee, state, federal, whatever. It's a very honorable thing to do to work in the government. And you've heard me before, I get real tired of people taking shots at the council members, at the mayor, at the city workers, and how much so-and-so makes, and da-di-da-da-da, the secretaries are overpaid, and it's a bunch of nonsense, because it's all very, very honorable, honest, and productive work. Well worth what we have to pay out, the little pittance we pay out in our taxes. But I just want you to keep in mind, as you're going through this on the bridge and the Bellray, what I feel is it's a wonderful, wonderful thing that this statesman had to say about how he feels the role of government is in our lives. And that's all I've got to say. But I also want to remind you, I've made the point the other night too, government is not static. It's dynamic. We have to move with the times. The governments of whatever entity it is has to move with the times. I've said it before, there's no such thing as the good old days. The good old days are gone. They're history. Sayonara. We have nothing to do with them. They're never going to come back to that. We're never going to go back to those tax rates that we had in the good old days. We're never going to get the $2,500 brand new Chevrolet Impala either. Those days are gone. History. Let's progress. Let's move on. Let's get it moving. That's all I got to say. But otherwise, I'm not going to say one way or another on the topic.
Cam, you won't find any argument against anything you said from this dais, I'm sure. But I would add that, just as an example, if I had that $58,000 plus that's been spent on a false promise of safety to our kids, I would rather put it in the schools and computers and then ask the teachers as a trade-off if they won't give us 1 hour a night in free instructions to anybody that would like to learn how to access the internet. Okay, I think that's the difference in the approach here, is knowing exactly where the best bang for the buck can be obtained. And I think that we're probably forsaking a lot of things much more important than that bridge And I think that I'm going to rely on the love of that mother holding that child much more than I will a bridge in terms of that child's safety.